What do people mean when they talk about biodiversity? Why do scientists like to throw around this term? Why is biodiversity important? First, let's imagine two forests. Both have 200 trees. But while the first forest has 20 different types of trees, the second forest has only oak trees. Despite both forests having the same number of trees, the first forest has greater biodiversity. Biodiversity is the measure of how varied the population of an ecosystem is. A system with high biodiversity has many different types of species living in the same environment. Biodiversity is important because studies have shown that high biodiversity indicates a more resilient environment. This is because things that affect one species, say a fungus infecting primarily oak trees, wouldn't have the same effects that it would on another species, say elm trees, which wouldn't have the same vulnerabilities as oaks. But how do we measure biodiversity? How do we gather data on this? Let's turn to Professor Kelly O'Donnell for more information.
So in terms of biodiversity, if we're just thinking New York State, we're thinking about the city versus more rural areas, there's human development everywhere, but you will tend to have, fewer species where there is more human development. So in the city, we do things like pave and we build buildings, and a lot of that impacts the species that can exist with us. Well, people should care about biodiversity because it's inherently valuable, I think, but it also does benefit us for us to protect biodiversity. So we get a lot of resources from nature, a lot of our food and our clean water and all of those things. If you're thinking in sort of a human perspective, the biodiversity of an area helps support that functioning ecosystem, and that in turn gives us these sorts of benefits. So, we depend on pollinators to pollinate some of our crop foods. If we start to lose pollinator diversity, that might have an impact on the amount of food we can grow in a particular area. So that's just one example of why we might want to care about biodiversity, we want to protect it.
So, now that we've heard about biodiversity, how can we help restore it? Even though the analysis can be quite a complex process, anyone can help with gathering data. The City Nature Challenge is an annual BioBlitz event that anyone can join and learn from. With your help, we can further the understanding of our urban ecology. Go to citynaturechallenge.org to find the dates for this year's BioBlitz. Yay! Got it.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.